Your life as every rank in an authoritarian regime's secret police. The envelope arrives on a Tuesday. No return address. Your name handwritten in blue ink, letters pressed hard into the paper like whoever wrote it wanted you to feel the weight before you even opened it. Inside is a single card, a time, a location, a number to call if you don't show up. You show up. That's how it starts. Not with a gun, not with a badge, with a card and a choice that was never really a choice at all. You just didn't know that yet. Level 1. The informant. You don't have a title, you don't have a salary, you have an arrangement. A handler named Miran who meets you at a cafe every Thursday and orders the same black coffee he never drinks. He slides a notepad across the table. You fill it in, names, times, what your neighbor said about the electricity cuts, whether your coworker mentioned the election results, small things, nothing you think matters. That's what you tell yourself. Your compensation is a monthly envelope of cash and roughly $80 in local currency, tucked behind a loose brick near your building's back entrance. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it isn't. You never ask why. You've learned not to ask why. You have a regular job, a family maybe, a life that looks entirely normal from the outside. That's the point. You are not an agent. You are a mirror placed inside a room the state cannot officially enter. You reflect back what you see, nothing more. But you notice things now you can't stop noticing. The way your upstairs neighbor always lowers his voice when the radio plays government broadcasts. The way your colleague at the factory keeps a second phone in his left coat pocket and steps outside to use it. You write these things down not because anyone told you to specifically, but because Moran once said quietly that attentive people get remembered. You want to be remembered. The first time you write something that leads to a door being knocked on, you don't know about it directly. You just notice that the man from the fourth floor stops coming home, and you feel something shift in your chest. Not guilt exactly, something more complicated than that, something that over time you learn to file away. You are level 1 because you still have a conscience. It still costs you something that won't last. Level 2. The watcher Miran promotes you. That's the word he uses. Promoted. You are now a field observer. Your first official document is a single laminated card with a number on it, no name, no photo, that gets you through a side entrance of a building in the city center that officially houses a regional census bureau. The carpet smells like old cigarettes and something chemical underneath. You work shifts, 6 hours on, 18 off. Your job is static surveillance. You sit in a van or a parked car or an apartment rented by the state from an owner who knows better than to ask questions. You watch a target's building, you log movement, you photograph faces, you call in plate numbers on a handheld radio that runs on an encrypted frequency you weren't given the code for. It cycles automatically and you don't need to understand why. You make the equivalent of $340 a month deposited into an account under a name that isn't yours. Most of your work is tedious. 90% of your targets do nothing. They go to work, they buy bread, they visit their mothers on Sundays. You write all of it down in standardized report forms using a code system you memorized in your second week. You are not allowed to take the code book home. You are not allowed to discuss your assignments with other observers, even ones you see in the break room. The break room has no windows. One night in your third month, you watch a man on a fourth floor balcony burn papers in a small metal bin. You photograph him. You write a detailed report. 2 days later, Miran, who you still see on Thursdays out of habit, tells you the report was, quote, very useful. You feel something you decide to call professional satisfaction. You are starting to understand that this organization runs on information the way other organizations run on money. Data is currency here, observation is labor, and the people who produce the most useful intelligence get moved up. You begin watching more carefully, not because you were told to, because you want what's above level 2. Level 3. The interrogator. They give you a room, 12 feet by 10, one table, two chairs, a light overhead that you control with a switch by the door. The room has no number on the outside and does not appear on the building's internal directory. Your training lasted 6 weeks. Psychological pressure techniques, sleep cycle disruption theory, how to build rapport and then dismantle it, how to make silence feel longer than it is, how to read micro expressions, how to offer something small and take something large in return. You were good at it. Your trainer, a woman named Lieutenant Sa, who had the affect of someone doing bookkeeping, told you after your final assessment that you had a natural orientation toward the work. You took that as a compliment. You are now 27 years old. You have an official rank, a printed identification document, and access to a shared vehicle pool. You earn the equivalent of $1,200 a month, a significant salary in a country where the average is $380. You are told not to discuss your income with anyone. You don't. Your subjects are not called prisoners. They are called persons of interest. The distinction matters because persons of interest have not been formally charged, which means certain legal frameworks don't apply. You understand this abstractly. You don't examine it too closely. Your first solo session lasts 4 hours. The man across the table is a university lecturer who wrote an essay that was shared in a private group of 11 people. He is 54 years old. He cries twice. He gives you 4 names, 3 of which were already in your system. The 4th is new. You write up the new name in your report. Walking out of the building that evening, you stop at a kiosk and buy a bottle of water. You drink it on the sidewalk. The city moves around you. Nobody knows what you just did. Nobody knows you exist in that capacity. And in that moment, the water cold, the evening air almost pleasant, you feel a kind of power that has nothing to do with violence. It has to do with invisibility. You can do things in the dark that can't be undone in the light, and nobody can see you. Level 4, the operator. You are in the field now, full field. Your cover identity took 8 weeks to build. You have a name, a work history, a social media presence managed by a technical unit you've never met, and a studio apartment registered under your alias in the city's eastern district. You live there 4 nights a week. The apartment has a contact drop point behind the bathroom panel, a magnetic case that holds whatever your handler needs to pass without a meeting. Your real apartment is elsewhere. You run assets. That's the terminology. Assets are people, informants, low-level officials, academics, journalists, who feed you information in exchange for protection, money, or leverage. You manage 6 of them concurrently. Each one believes they have a unique and personal relationship with you. Each one is right, in a technical sense. You have studied them carefully. You know which ones need approval, which ones need fear, which ones need to feel like they're doing the right thing. You are very good at giving people what they need. You carry 2 phones, you speak 3 languages fluently and a 4th with functional proficiency. You have attended diplomatic receptions as an attaché, a journalist, and once as the +1 of an asset who needed cover. You have crossed 2 international borders using documents that are technically real but shouldn't be. You earn $3,800 a month plus a classified operational allowance that funds expenses without receipts. The work has changed you in ways you only notice when you're around people who aren't in it. A friend from before, the kind of friend you kept at careful distance, meets you for dinner and talks about his promotion and his mortgage and his daughter's school recital, and you sit across from him and listen and feel nothing you can name. Not contempt, not envy. Just a kind of distance, like you're watching him through glass. He asks what you're up to these days. You tell him you're in logistics. He nods. You order dessert. That night, you write a 2-paragraph surveillance memo about a target and file it by 11 p.m. You sleep fine. Level 5, the division chief. You have 12 operators under you. You don't meet with all of them directly. 3 you see regularly. The rest communicate through an internal system that logs every message and timestamps every file access. You are aware that your own activity is also logged. You're not at the level where that changes, not yet. But you know how to operate within the parameters of what a successful division chief looks like on paper. You have a real office now. 2nd floor, corner room. Your name appears on an internal directory as Section Administrator, Bureau of Civil Affairs. The building is officially a branch of the Interior Ministry. Almost everyone who works in it knows what it actually is. Nobody says it aloud. Your mandate is domestic surveillance of Category 2 threats. Category 2 means organized dissent, not isolated critics, but coordinated networks. Opposition groups, civil society organizations with foreign funding, journalists running collaborative investigations. Your division maps them, identifies the connective tissue, finds the person at the center. The arrests, when they come, don't go through you officially, but they come from your files. You have attended 3 briefings at the Capitol's Central Directorate. You've sat across from men who are 4 levels above you and felt the specific gravity of rooms where decisions are made that will appear in no official record. You understand now that the organization has 2 structures, the one on paper and the one that actually operates. The real structure is smaller, older, more careful. You want inside the real structure. Your marriage, if you have one, is experiencing what you would privately classify as structural stress. Not crisis. Stress. You are gone more than you should be. You say things that are true without saying anything that matters. You have become very skilled at emotional surface management. a technique you realize one evening with a kind of dark amusement that you were literally trained in. Your salary is $8,400 a month. You have a car and a driver 2 days a week. The car has no state markings. Of course it doesn't. Level 6. The Deputy Director. There are 7 people at your level in the entire country. 7. You don't know all their names? You know 2. The others are deliberately kept separate. Compartmentalization that goes so deep that the structure itself becomes the security. If you were ever compromised, you couldn't give up what you don't know. You have oversight over 3 regional divisions and 1 specialized technical unit responsible for signals interception. The technical unit has access to a domestic monitoring infrastructure that sweeps 40% of the country's mobile traffic in real time. You receive curated summaries. You don't see the raw feed that's 2 levels up, but the summaries are comprehensive enough. You know who is planning what before they finish planning it. Power at this level is not loud. It is the opposite of loud. You appear to the outside world as a mid-level ministry official. You give no interviews. You attend no public events. Your salary officially is $14,000 a year. The supplementary structure that makes up the remaining $180,000 annually moves through mechanisms you didn't design and don't audit. You have ordered operations that affected hundreds of people. You have never personally raised your voice in a professional context. You have never needed to. Your relationships with the people above you are not friendships. They are alliances. They are maintained through demonstrated value and careful loyalty signaling. You understand exactly where the lines are, not because anyone drew them for you, because you watched what happened to people who stepped across them. You are not sentimental about the work anymore. You are not much of anything anymore outside of it. That thought surfaces occasionally late at night. You let it pass. Level 7. The Director. You attend a meeting once a month at a facility that does not appear in any public record, located 40 kilometers outside the capital on a road that isn't on civilian mapping applications. At the table, you, 2 others at your level, and the man above you. The man above you reports directly to the head of state. Sometimes he speaks for the head of state. The difference you've learned is irrelevant. You now have operational authority over the entire domestic intelligence apparatus of a country of 22 million people. That means the files, the assets, the technical systems, the detention facilities that officially are something else. You don't run them directly. There are layers for that, but they run because you sanction them. Decisions reach your desk that have no right answer. They have outcomes and they have costs. And your job is to select the outcome with the cost the state can absorb. A journalist whose investigation is getting too close. A regional official whose loyalty has become ambiguous. A foreign NGO operating with a mandate that is, on paper, humanitarian and is, in practice, something more complicated. You solve these problems. You no longer think of them as moral questions. You think of them as pressure points. You apply the appropriate pressure. The problem resolves. You earn the equivalent of $340,000 annually distributed across 3 jurisdictions. You have not made a friend in 11 years. Not a real one. The people around you are colleagues, assets, or threats. Those categories have absorbed every other category so gradually that you didn't notice until it was complete. Your predecessor held this role for 9 years and retired to a government-owned compound near the coast. He is 67 now and does not speak publicly. He is by all accounts healthy. You know for a fact he is watched. You authorized it. You don't find that troubling. That is perhaps the most accurate measure of where you are. Level 8. The Architect. You don't have a title that appears anywhere. There is no form that lists your real function. The man who ran the apparatus before the current head of state is gone. Relocated, the public story says, for health reasons. You were the one who delivered that message. It was a short meeting. He understood immediately. He was gone within 48 hours. That was 6 years ago. You have outlasted 3 interior ministers. You have survived 2 internal purges by being indispensable and invisible in exactly the right proportions. You know where everybody is buried, not metaphorically. You have files on 340 current officials at the senior government level. You have files on 14 foreign intelligence operatives currently active in country. You have files on 4 people inside the head of state's inner circle. You don't use these files. You don't need to. The fact that they exist is enough. Everyone at the level that matters knows they exist. That knowledge is its own architecture of control. You are 61 years old. You live in a residence that is officially a guest facility for visiting ministry delegations. The grounds are maintained. The security is discreet. You have not been to a restaurant, a theater, or a public space without a controlled perimeter in 4 years. Power at this level is not a feeling. It stopped being a feeling a long time ago. It is a condition. The way weather is a condition, or age. It surrounds you. It is not exciting. It is just the atmosphere you breathe. Some mornings you stand at the window of your study, a large window, the grounds below carefully maintained, and you try to locate something inside yourself that could be called satisfaction. You find something quieter than that, a kind of stillness. The system works. The country is stable by the definitions the state uses for stability. The apparatus you have spent 34 years building, ascending, and finally inhabiting functions with the reliability of infrastructure. You built the machine. The machine doesn't know it has a builder. That is the point. You think occasionally about the man you were at 23, the envelope on a Tuesday, the cafe where Moran ordered the coffee he never drank. You remember the feeling of filling in the notepad, how significant it felt, how naive that significance was. You don't feel contempt for that version of yourself. You feel nothing particular at all, which is, in its way, the final achievement, the thing the system was always building toward. Not power, not control, the removal of the self that needed those things. Somewhere in a city that looks like any other city, a young man is sitting across from a handler in a cafe. There is a notepad on the table. He picks up the pen. He thinks this is the beginning of something, an opportunity, a way up. He thinks he is making a choice, that he is in control of what comes next, that the path he is stepping onto is one he can step off of when he decides to. He thinks he understands the kind of person who ends up at the top of something like this. He doesn't. He thinks he's different. He's not. The pen touches the paper. He starts to write.